Hello, everybody. Um, Today, I would like to talk about what we learned in this module. And let's start right now. Okay, so this module was about classroom management, techniques, and reflections on practice. So I would like to start by talking about learners. We talked about different aspects that have to do with the students or the learners. For example, one of those is classroom interaction and the importance of the teacher deciding, depending on the activity, the level of the group, the size of the group, if it's best to work in pairs, in small groups, half and half, or with the group as a whole, because there are advantages and disadvantages to doing this. Okay. Another thing we also talked about is the teacher talking time versus student talking time. And definitely we agreed that students are the ones who need to practice. And the teacher has to really pay attention to lowering his or her teacher talking time. For example, if the teacher has to explain or give instructions, those explanations and those instructions must be shorter than the time students get to practice. So that is very important. And then we talked about, having small groups when all the students have the same level, they probably come, from the same background, they all have the right attitude, they participate. That's very easy. And all the teachers hope, to get something like this. But when you have different levels of English, that's called a mixed ability group. And that's where teachers go crazy and sometimes they don't know what to do because they need to adapt basically every single activity to different levels. It is challenging, but you also have to make sure you think about selecting the right activities so that it can be adapted, and also it has to do with classroom interactions so that you can pair students up or put students in group, assigning roles so that everybody gets to participate, and the students who are in a lower level can learn from the others and the others can share their knowledge. So that is the ultimate aim of our mixed ability class. We also talked about the affected climate and the importance of having a positive environment in class. All the teachers want that, and all teachers strive for that in their classroom. But it's not always easy to achieve. So you, as a teacher, have to look for ways. In my personal experience, I think that negotiating with students and keeping them busy with interesting tasks and activities to perform, it's a good way to keep the positive climate in the classroom. Because, of course, this one is connected to discipline, okay? Discipline, it's a set of rules or agreements between the teacher and the students or the learners in this case, so that they behave respectfully and activities can be carried out. Something important, discipline is not about who has the control of the class. It's not about punishment. It's not about who's strict or not strict at all. I think it has to do with, again, as I said, negotiation, respect, and understanding of the objectives of the class and accepting them. So it is important to involve the whole community and sometimes even the school staff, the psychologist, the director, and parents also. So discipline happens, I would not say in every level, mainly not, with young students, but it's important to set rules from the beginning of the class to avoid problems in the future. Another important topic that we talked about was feedback, when and how to give feedback. So there's always this thing about students making mistakes or errors. And it's important to understand that an error happens when a student tries to use a structure, a word, or a phrase that he or she hasn't been taught or hasn't learned. So that is an error. I mean, you're making a mistake with something you don't know. A mistake, on the other hand, is a word, verb tense, or grammatical structure that you're supposed to know, but you forget, and then you make the mistake. And it's important to be careful with this because if the mistake is not corrected at an early stage, it can fossilize and stay. And then it's very difficult to eliminate or almost impossible. And of course, well, we go back to connecting the same things we were talking about. When a group is good or a student answers correctly, it's very easy to give positive feedback. However, when mistakes or errors occur, we have to be very careful how we correct or how we give feedback. It has to do a lot with the type of activity that we're doing. For example, if it's a new structure, we want to correct right away and many times by modeling. If it's a new structure, but students have been practicing it for a little while, maybe they're ready to self-correct. So the teacher has to provide different ways or use different techniques so that the student self-corrects. If the student cannot do this, then there's always peer correction. Peer correction can be done if, again, the affective climate is good, if there's a positive environment in the class. But there's always, this option when students or learners are doing an activity for the sake of communication or to practice fluency, then the recommendation is not to interrupt. Do not correct and wait until the end, and maybe just elicit or mention some mistakes that happen in the class and ask the students to correct them. If they can, then you can help them or you provide the answer. But that should be the last option. Well, I hope my ideas about this module were clear. I really enjoyed it, and I hope this information is helpful. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.